Welcome back. Joining me now is South Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Congresswoman, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, as always.
So another crazy week in Trump world. We've been talking about what took place with regard to this White House meeting in which the president made very derogatory comments about Haitians, about Africans in general. What's your take on this?
Well, I think we can no longer make any bones about the fact that the president is a racist. I mean, to say out loud, in the Oval Office no less, that countries in Africa and Haiti are S-holes, are S-hole countries, however it is that he actually characterized it, is vile, offensive, horrendous, disgusting, and then to add insult to injury and suggest that a better approach to immigration is to encourage people from Norway, countries like Norway, to come, which is about as literally black and white as you can get, just demonstrates once and for all the president is a racist. He foments racism, and anyone who does not condemn his vile remarks sanctions his racism, sanctions those beliefs, and is an enabler. Well,
that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you. Is it gotten to the point where the questions really aren't about Donald Trump anymore? It's about those who enable and are around Donald Trump.
That's right. That's right. Look, it would be one thing if we had a president who everyone isolates because he's a liar, because he's a racist, and because he foments discriminatory actions and behavior. But unfortunately, you have a Republican leadership who has not only not condemned what he's said in this instance, but has repeatedly done everything they can to make sure that they leave the guy in a position of strength, relative strength, so that they can achieve their goals like they did with the tax scam bill, to pass tax cuts for the wealthiest, most fortunate Americans, for giant corporations, and that they can hold on to what they care the most about above anything else, and that is power.
You talk about the tax scam bill. Let me just turn to that. This is the first time you and I had a chance to talk since that passed. You saw there's no benefit to that. Americans are going to see some increase in their paychecks, aren't they?
I mean, there are some Americans that will see a very small incremental increase in their paychecks. Maybe. I mean, getting the minuscule tax break that some people in the middle class will get is only temporary, expires after 5 years, and what is permanent is the massive tax breaks that the wealthiest 1% and giant corporations will get. To add to what was already a harmful bill, it blows a $1.5 trillion hole in the deficit, and that clearly was part of what they were intending to do to lead ultimately to their, quote, reforms that they are going to pursue to essentially cut or privatize Social Security and turn Medicare into a voucher system.
And I know you and I are going to do a subsequent program where we're going to talk more about that in a little bit.
Look forward to that.
I just wanted to go back for a second on the Trump comments and your statement about how Republicans who do not come out and condemn it, are culpable in a sense themselves. I want to be very clear because things may develop. We're taping this early Friday afternoon, so within 24 hours. Right. There are Republicans who were in that meeting. We've only heard from one person inside that meeting, Dick Durbin at this point, the Democrat from Illinois, the senator. Nobody else has commented, including who was in that meeting, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart from South Florida. Does that surprise you?
Mario Diaz-Balart has been a champion for his community, and I'm confident that he doesn't subscribe to what the president believes in, but it is incumbent upon all of us who believe in the United States continuing to be the beacon and haven that we have always been for the oppressed, to speak out. And I think that if you don't speak out, then essentially you are tacitly sanctioning the remarks.
I want to turn to a couple other things I know you're working on in Congress. One, we had the incident at the airport not long ago in which there was a shooting, yes, and that took place, a bit of a rampage there. You proposed some legislation that will hopefully try to make that less likely in the future. Talk to me about that.
Following the mass shooting last year at FLL, where we had 5 people killed and 13 wounded, I convened a series of roundtables throughout last year year, ultimately designed to make sure that the chaos that ensued after the shooter was taken down would be avoided in the future. And what we found was that there were pretty consistent problems across the country with our most significant airports. And so I introduced this week the Airport Alert Act, a bill that is designed to make sure that we can include really critical elements in the transportation security plans that airports are required to submit, like making sure that there is comprehensive training for everyone who has a badge and works at an airport every day. Make sure that we have folks who know what they're supposed to do or understand the evacuation procedures. Make sure that that we have communication systems
better
in place.
Coordination. Put all the people in the same place within airports.
The main component of this legislation creates an airport operations center at our 28 largest Category X airports, which would include Fort Lauderdale and MIA, who is actually already building an airport operations center, because these security officials need to be working side by side every day to know how to finish one another's sentences, to be able to work together so that when an emergency arises, they're not first having to learn how to work together. They're working together to coordinate all kinds of reactions that that happen at airports every day.
Congresswoman, I appreciate your coming in. I know we don't have time to get to nursing homes. I know nursing home is another area that you're dealing with. We'll have you back soon.
Thank you.
We can talk more at length, give it the time that it really needs to talk about that. So again, Congresswoman, thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back.